7 decades of country music. Over 70 artists, all in one room sharing their songs, their stories, and their lives with you. This is Country's Family Reunion Nashville. Let's listen in on Volume 2.
I'm rolling my sweet baby's arm. I'm rolling my sweet baby's arm. I lay round the shack till the bell train comes back and roll in my sweet baby's arm. Yeah, I ain't gonna work on the railroad, no. Ain't gonna work on the farm. Lay round the shack till the bell train comes back and roll in my sweet baby's arms. Everybody, roll in my sweet baby's arms. Roll in my sweet baby's arms. I lay round the shack till the bell train comes back. Roll in my sweet baby's arms. Whoa! Where were you last Saturday night while I was laying in jail? Walking the street with another man who wouldn't even go my way. Rolling my sweet baby's arms. Rolling my sweet baby's arms. I lay round the shack till the bell train come back. Rolling my sweet baby's, rolling my sweet baby's, rolling my sweet baby's arms. Oh yeah! Oh yeah!
Oh, no.
I don't know how you get that back to swan, back on the same right key. Yeah, but it's right there.
Finally found it.
Don't ask him, Charlie. He'll do it again.
Yeah, there's that word there, youngster. Yeah.
There's that youngster.
He used to work with you, didn't he?
Work with me? No. We were together on how his career started. We worked together, and we were working like the Frontier Hotel in Vegas for 20 weeks a year.
Don't tell it all.
I'm not going to tell it all.
Saving that for me.
And one night, I don't know what, it was just something came from the inside. Him and I had some stuff we did back and forth. Extremely funny because neither one knew what the other was going to say. So we both enjoyed it. One night, I just walked off stage, left him center stage, just him and the orchestra.
In front of a 40-piece orchestra.
And he looked at me and his eyes got as big as saucers. And I just said, "It's yours." It took him just about 5 seconds. And he was off and running. And that started his solo career. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Roy taught me everything he knows, and I still don't know nothing.
You said you had a story about.
Oh, wait, I got to tell the story. Yeah, we finished 3 weeks. We worked 3 weeks at a time, 2 shows a night, and I mean, tell you, that was back in the 70s, and we was a walking pickle. Them days are over, though, but we took off in Roy's plane, and he was on the left side, flying the plane, right, the pilot, and Leaf Langback, our full-time pilot, he was on the right side, and Barbara and I were in the back, and we took off. We knew something was going on, something was wrong or something, and they started circling. Well, they'd lost the engine on takeoff, and it's about 120 degrees out there in Vegas. I don't know if it was, if that had anything to do with it or not, but then we finally got around and landed, and Roy come out the plane. We were standing there talking, and I said, "Was you nervous?" And his hands are sweating. He said, "Only my laundress will know how scared I was."
And speaking of reunions, to me, have always been, not in a psychological sense, but as far as people getting together, probably the only time we get together like this, other than a reunion, is funerals and reunions. So I say that reunions are more fun. But when I was growing up, we would go to either one because we knew there'd be food there. I mean, being Baptist, we respond to every tragedy in life with food. I mean, a covered dish. I mean, we'll knock on somebody's front door and go, sorry to hear about your son-in-law, here's some baked beans. we would come in for a minute, but Walmart closes at 12. and if I'm going to that funeral, I need me something real nice to wear. But matter of fact, I say this now, as a grown man, I'm embarrassed about this. But as a little kid, me and my brother, real little, grew up way out in the country, real poor. As children, we used to actually hope somebody would die so we could eat.
Oh.
It'd be like, I smell chicken, somebody must be dead. And you folks know that, this. And did you ever notice that we would spend more time talking about the food and who brought which dish than with the guy that passed away? I mean, this poor soul hasn't even been buried yet. But all the conversation is going like this. Somebody go, well, I see Elizabeth brought that macaroni salad. I knew she'd do this. I guarantee you one thing. If it had been somebody on her side of the family, she'd have brought some kind of meat. and they'll always tell the story about how good the food was at the last funeral. But when you come to, and there's always, whether it be a reunion when people get together, whether it be a funeral, whether it be somebody's birthday, when people get together, and there's always food. And the holidays were not that long ago, and you see it at Christmas, you see it at Thanksgiving, but anytime where there's food and there's people, there's always going to be one or two that eats the most. And everybody knows they eat the most. It's either our aunt, our cousin, maybe our grandmother, if you're lucky enough to have your grandmother still with you. The heavy lady, let's just say heavy. And I know I can do this material because I come from a long line of heavy people. My whole family can carry their own shade with them. I mean, but you know the one I'm talking about. Stands about 4'8", weighs about 300,
You're going to keep talking about food till I'm going to wonder where it is.
Well, and they always do this. And I always say this too. I just poke fun at their mannerisms, the way they talk. And all my aunts were this way. All overweight. And God bless them, they all lived to be way up in their 80s. So whatever they were eating, evidently was pretty good for them. But they always the last one up from the table. Always the last one up from the table. And they would say things like this. They'd go, whew. Lord, Lord, Lord. I don't know why in the world my feet hurt like they do. And I'm thinking, I'll take a stab at it. But they'll get from the table. My aunt, I always change the name because my cousins are still living, and they're tougher than I am. But I had an Aunt Margaret. She was always the last one up from the table. Everybody else is done. They're in the living room, and she's still in the kitchen. But she would yell in there, I'm through eating. I'm just going to get a biscuit and salt this up. I often say sometimes, that could be what's wrong with America today. A whole generation of Americans who've never heard the expression, get a biscuit and sop it up, But eventually, she'd get into the living room, and she would just flop down in the first chair she came to. As a kid looking up, it always looked like it was in slow motion to us. Like, oh my God, she's gonna break that chair. Because she would come down with full force, like, whoo! I ate more than I planned to. Oh, I don't know why meatloaf lays on my chest. Seems like it's right there, we won't go no further. I wish Dad had brought my gas pills. I didn't know you put onion in your meatloaf. Lord knows I can't eat cooked onion. You know? And here's what always got me, Bill. I think starting tomorrow, I'm gonna go on some kind of diet. Well, no, I can't tomorrow. We're going to Cracker Barrel tomorrow. Thank you.
Well, no, if he keeps talking, I'm going to want to get something to eat, you know. Now, I don't think there's anybody dead here, but we're having a party anyway.
I dated a girl Jones that used to always have that menu.
Yeah, where's Grandpa? Where's the menu?
Yeah, there'd be the menu.
One time I dated this girl that liked to eat a lot like that. I'm not saying she is heavy, but I took her to a dance and the band skipped.
James was over there talking about the biscuits and sopping up biscuits, and I grew up on a farm, and Mama canned everything we had, and we picked every berry there was in the imaginable, and she canned, made jelly all summer. And she made homemade biscuits every morning. And from the day they were married till the day Daddy died, he couldn't get his biscuits and jelly to come out even. And he'd say, honey, I got a little biscuit left here. You got any more of that jelly in there? So she'd bring a little more. Pretty soon he'd say, I got a little bit of jelly left here. You got another biscuit? And he just keeps saying, I just can't get him to come out even. But they weren't going to waste anything. So his biscuit sopping, that reminds me of that.
Hey, Bill, me and Mickey Gilly used to fly up to his mama's house in Faraday, Louisiana. Now, she made the best biscuits in the world. You don't believe me, ask him. Best biscuits in the world. And one time, we was flying up in that little bitty plane that Gilly had, and we got lost. And he was circling around in the clouds, looking for an opening in the clouds to see if we could land there. And we made it in. And I remember being at Miss Gilly's house that morning for breakfast, and she had them biscuits out there, and his cousin Jimmy Swaggart was there, and his other cousin Jerry Lee Lewis. Now, they was uptown country people. They had a 3-holer. This was out there, and it was winter time. There was a little light snow on the ground. They was all sitting at breakfast. So the killer jumps up and excuses himself and runs out to the 3-holer. Now, he's gone out there for a few minutes, so we keep eating, eating biscuits and stuff. And it's cold. He come running back in the house, and he grabbed a coat hanger, and he undid the coat hanger, and he was running back outside towards the 3-holer again. My curiosity got the best of me. I was running out there behind him, and I threw that door open. There he was in that middle hole. He was digging down in there with that coat hanger. And I said, Killer, what are you doing? He said, I dropped my coat. My coat fell down in there. I said, you ain't gonna wear that thing, are you? He said, no, but I got a biscuit in the pocket. Good biscuit.
Well, I was just going to say, when Jim first said he wondered where the food was, I was really interested. But after he burped and after that joke...
You lost your appetite.
Yes, sir.
No appetite now.
All of us here remember and love Johnny Russell, and most of us have had our meals with Johnny Russell. God bless his soul. He used to call me up, and first thing out of his mouth, I'd answer the phone, and he'd say, you want to go eat? So we would go eat, and he would eat, and he would eat. Toward the last of his life, a lot of us would go up to the hospital and see him. And I went there one morning, it was just Johnny Russell and I, and he looked at me, and food was always on his mind. He said, I had a nightmare last night. I said, really, what was it about? He said, I dreamed somebody was trying to kill me with a coconut cream pie. I don't know what Freud would say about that, but
You know, Bill, Johnny and I worked a lot together in Branson, and one morning I woke up and had total laryngitis. So I called Mr. Lowe and I said, I can't sing. And so Johnny said, he was there, and he said, he got on the phone with me, and he said, just dress up pretty as you can and come on over. And so he set me on this stool. Now, I could not talk at all. And he come out there and said, this is the kind of woman I like. The kind you can't hear. He did a whole show with me sitting there.
What?
I found somebody out in the parking lot.
Uh-oh. Found somebody in the parking lot. Cowboy Benny.
You're late.
Did you bring a note?
Who is it?
Who are
Most
you?
of us was early.
Can't tell time.
Well, plug up there and join us.
That's quite a cowboy hat you got, kid.
I don't know. You been to Don Williams' house to get that hat?
You used to wear a hat kind of like that, Johnny.
Still got it.
You still got it? Yeah.
Ed Bruce
and
wants
had a thing,
Ed Bruce wants to know if you're old enough to be here.
Are you old enough to be here?
He can't hear you. He can't hear you.
Would you like my hearing aid?
Did you hear what Ed Bruce asked?
Yes, but I was ignoring him. That man ain't no part of nothing right there. He is so, that's my Bill Monroe impression. How are you, sir? I'm fine, sir.
Congratulations, Country Music Hall of Fame, Neil Smith.
So I guess it's okay if I'm here.
You'd
I like
think you
your
could get a better
likeness, Vince.
guitar than that, wouldn't you?
I like your likeness.
Oh, thanks. Do what? Man, y'all are in a mood. Pick on the kid here. I got the deal. I'm all ready for that.
You're the youngster among this group.
I know.
But just don't let it get the best of you.
I was in Georgia. I went to an antique show. This girl took me to an antique show. We was walking around.
There's always a girl involved with you.
Well, I needed a ride. and I was walking around looking in some booths and everything, you know. And I was looking at some booths. And so this woman walked up. I was looking at her apparel. And she said, "Sir, have you ever been to an antique show before?" I said, "Yes, ma'am. I've seen Mickey Gilley 3 times."
I'm gonna get him.
The floor is yours.
Yeah, I'm gonna get him before it's over with.
Go ahead and get him now if you want.
Well, I don't know that much about Johnny. I hadn't worked with him in a long time.
That one year he had out, Room Full of Roses. I overlooked an orchid. I'm sending you a big bouquet of roses, and that same year he won the FTD award.
I tell you what, something with Johnny. We was playing Harrah's and Reno, and what song do you expect me to end his portion of the show with? Looking for Love. I mean, it's natural, right? And I've got to get dressed. And I told Johnny, I said, look, you got to go on and get off. I said, I got to have a certain amount of time to do the songs I've got to do. No problem, brother. Well, he was wired tight on an 8-day clock. He goes out there and he does about 10 or 15 minutes, and all of a sudden I hear him playing, Kick Off Looking for Love. And I said, oh my God, and I wasn't even dressed. Clothes were coming off, and I was throwing clothes everywhere trying to get dressed. And I come running upstairs. You know what his next song was? Dead Skunk in the Middle of the Road. I wanted to kill him.
Well, what we had done, we had taped the night before, because Mr. Starr comes down there taking his time, lollygagging around, doing all this. So I had a tape going of the night before my last song, so he thought that was the end of my show. And I was only about a fourth of the way through when he come running up.
Did you guys have any words before you fell out?
I mean, one time he put a blinker fuse in my amplifier, and I went through about 12 chords before the song was over with.
Johnny was looking for work in all around the place.
We got a guy with us that is here for the first time, our buddy Ronnie McDowell over there, the great singer and does Elvis better than just about anybody. You've done Elvis's voice in movies and all kinds of stuff, haven't you?
You know what, Bill? I've been Elvis's voice now in 12 movies, 29 commercials, and a Twilight Zone.
In the Twilight Zone?
Yeah, and you know what? As I look around here and I see all these faces, I have kind of like in my mind, I see all these stories. Like, the first time that I recorded on Music City Row was at Music City Recorders. And I never will forget, I went in with a friend of mine. He and I wrote this song called The King Is Gone. You might remember, about Elvis. And we went in that night and we were recording and he came up to me and I was singing it, like Ronnie McDowell. And he said, now Ronnie, now you need to sing this like Elvis might have sounded. And I said, I don't want to sound like Elvis. I want to sound like Ronnie McDowell. Well, ultimately I wound up doing that. And after the session was over, he said, Ronnie, you are going to pay for this, aren't you? And I said, man, I got $42 on me. He said, well, I ain't got a dime. But what I did have was my checkbook. And I wrote a hot check for all the musicians, for the tape and the studio. And it amounted to $2,800. And I tell you what, $2,800 in 1977 was a lot of money. So the next day, I went to Weno Radio in Madison, Tennessee, a little AM station. And I took a little, it was a big old acetate. I had 8 of them made the next morning. I slept with that tape. I felt like I had a hit. Of course, I didn't know, but I slept with that tape. I flew down to the old Monument studio. I had 8 acetates made, and yes, I paid for those with a hot check. But anyway, I took one of those acetates to Weno Radio, and I never will forget it. It was August. It was 2 days after Elvis passed away. And I went in, the little girl was sitting there, and I said, would you play this? She said, well, we don't do this just off the street. I said, well, it's about Elvis. Well, the Elvis emotion was so high at that time. And she took it back to the DJ, and I never will forget this. He was behind this glass, and he put that turntable and that needle on that, and he played it, and he went like this. And I went back there, and he said, man, I'm going to play this. And I said, you got to be kidding. And he put the needle on it, and before it was half through, the phone lines lit up, and he said, man, something's wrong with my phone. And every button that he pushed, and he said, this thing ain't even half over, and they want to hear it again. Well, the next night, I was on the Grand Ole Opry. This guy right here, and that's what I'm talking about. As I look around, I see all these familiar faces and a story that I have practically with every one of you. I was standing on the Grand Ole Opry.
Here's a new one for you.
I forgot it.
They want to hear it again.
Somebody wanted to hear it.
But anyway, I was standing there, and I was scared to death. I mean, I was tapping that wall. My legs were going crazy. And the first time you were on the Opry, you have to relate to me. Well, this guy walks up to me. He goes, son, he put his arm around me and hugged me. He said, son, it'll be fine. You're going to be fine. I said, Mr. Brown, I said, I've been performing for years. I ain't scared to get up and sing. I said, I just wrote this thing. I don't know this darn song. But anyway, to make a long story short, right after that, I started opening up shows for my friend Conway Twitty. For 7 years, I was with him. And on my 29th birthday, I never will forget, Conway came up to me and he said, Ronnie, I found you a hit. He said, you take it home and listen to it. If you like it, it's yours. I took it home and I listened to it, and I brought it back the next day, and I said, Conway, I don't like that. He said, all right. And he recorded it, and it was Happy Birthday, Darling. Lake Charles, Louisiana. Not too long after that, he called me on his bus, and he said, I found you another song, son. You just turned down a #1 record. And I said, well, what is it? And it was just me and him on the bus. And he picked up his guitar, and he goes, there's a lot of ways of saying what I want to say to you. There's songs and poems and promises and dreams that might come true. But I won't speak of starry skies or moonlight on the ground. I'll come right out and tell you I'd just love to lay you down. I said, Conway, who in the world is going to play a song called I'd Love to Lay You Down? Huge #1 record for Conway. In Hendersonville, Tennessee, I got to tell you this, at Center Point Barbecue, just before Conway passed away, I pulled up in my old Ford pickup truck, and Conway pulled up in his brand new Mercedes. He jumped out of his car and he said, Ronnie, funny I should run into you tonight. And I said, why is that? And he said, I got another song for you. I said, give me that sucker. I don't care what it sounds like. Now, the reason I'm telling y'all this is because Conway had a song called Tight Fitting Jeans, and he heard about a song that I was getting ready to record called Older Women Make Better Lovers. He said, let me hear that song. And so I played it for him, and he said, well, you know, I got this song right here called Tight Fitting Jeans. He said, I think that song fits you. You're a lot younger than me. And I said, nah, I think I'm going to stick with older women. And I want you to know, in 2 weeks, Older Women was #1. But anyway, to make a long story short, you know, Conway Twitty was such a wonderful friend. Buddy Killen, you and I, Bill, just unbelievable friends. And I think Buddy Killen deserves to be in the Country Music Hall of Fame. Yeah. What a pioneer Buddy was. But Buddy talked me into recording. Am I on? Buddy talked me into recording. Is it okay if I stand up?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, is it okay if I do this?
Leave that on.
Leave this on. Just unplug that. Okay. Well, anyway, I was going to the studio at the sound shop, which all of you know where that is. And I never will forget this. As we were getting on the elevator, this young guy, as the elevator was opening up, Vince, pay attention. As the elevator opened up, this guy stuck his hand in the elevator and he said, stop. And Buddy and I opened the doors back up. And this guy said, now, Ronnie, he said, now, you got to go record this song. He said, I'm telling you, I know what I'm talking about. And I said, Jamie, I don't think women want to be known as older women. I think it's kind of detrimental. And Buddy Killen, he said, Ronnie, you know all these women around here like this song. And Jamie O'Hara, one half of the O'Kanes. You know, Jamie said, Ronnie, I'm 30 years old and my girlfriend is 38 and I know what I'm talking about. So we went down and recorded this song, and we're going to send this song out to Norma and Jean.
Gee, thanks.
No, I'm telling you.
What about me?
And you, Jan, I'm telling you. Because you are not over the hill if you're over 40. You are not over the hill. You're just getting better at giving a thrill, honey. That's what it is. Are you ready? Here we go. Now, y'all help. Now, y'all clap. Now, we've been sitting here, but you got to clap. Come on. 1, 2, 3. Older women are beautiful lovers. I said older women. What about it, Charlie? They understand. Yes, they do. I've been around. This guy's been around. That older women know just how to please a man. Everybody seems to love those younger women from 18 on up to 25. 25. I love them too, but I'm telling you, learning how to really love Jimmy takes a little time. Older women, it's okay to clap. I said older women. Yes, they do. I've been around. I have discovered that older know just how to please a man. Are you ready? Here we go. Take it up. Honey, don't you worry about getting older. Those young girls ain't got one thing on you, Jan, that's right. And let me tell you this, honey. It takes some living to get good at giving. Giving love is just where you could teach them a thing or two. Older women, that's what I hear, are beautiful lovers.
Women, they understand.
They do understand, don't they? What about it, Ed? They do, don't they? I've been around some, and I have discovered, know just how to please a man. Older women are better, and Jimmy says that older men are grateful.
Great job, Ronnie.
Don't forget our store down below where you can get Country's Family Reunion and Larry's Country Diner product.
Saley,
Sir,
you kept looking like you was wanting him to come over and sing to you.
I was trying to figure out how I'd get something started there. I was a little afraid to go there.
I was going to say it'd take a mighty man to step towards her.
No, but I'll tell you what, I realized something not long ago about why older women choose to date much, much younger men anymore.
And?
And it's not for the reason a lot of you guys might think. I discovered that it's just once your kids grow up and leave home, there is nobody left to set the VCR, half of the alarm clocks in the house, the microwave, and now we're into DVDs and some other things I don't understand at all. You know, you get a man my age, he don't know how to fix it either. So,
Jeannie,
sir, ma'am.
tell them about that when we were in Onamia, Minnesota.
Yeah.
And the band.
Oh, yeah.
Remember?
Shepard, my good friend Shepard. We did a grand ladies
What did
show.
I do?
Everything. Gene Shepard, Jan Howard, Helen Cornelius, and I did some grand lady shows. We're up there. And so we were acknowledging the band and how good they were. And I said, and they're good looking too. Shepard said, Seeley, you're old enough to be their mother. And I looked at the audience and I said, yeah, but I'm not. That's the key.
Somebody up there asked something about how old I was or something like that. And I said, age is a number and mine's unlisted.
I don't think we're getting older. I think we're getting better, girls.
Yeah. Oh, Helen had a great line on the show, too. What was the?
Well, I was on this cruise, and Annie was always up in the disco, they said, at 3 o'clock in the morning. But Annie was about 85 years old, and her husband had died, and she had enough money to cruise for 5 years. So one day, the entertainment director said, Annie, you have so much energy. Everybody wants to know how old you are. And she said, well, can you keep a secret? And the entertainment director said, yes. And she said, so can I. I love it.
I don't know if there's a good segue from older women to anything, but I'm sitting there looking at Jim, Ed, and Helen.
There is no such thing as a segue from all of that into what I'm about to do.
Well, y'all are about to do a duet together.
Can
aren't
I?
you?
Yeah.
You mind if I get up?
If you
That'd be
can.
fine with me. Go ahead.
What year was it, DO of the year? 70, was it 72?
71.
71, 72.
71. Yeah, they were the duet of the year, and I guess this was probably the song, right?
It was song, single, album of the year in 1977.
Is that when it was?
Uh-huh.
I forget.
Well, we were early.
How many years did you add to it?
No, we said 71.
Oh, no.
We thought it was 1971.
Yeah, 77, yeah.
Well, lay it on us.
All righty.
I don't wanna have to marry you. I don't wanna have to say I do. I want our love want you more than I did the time before. Can you stay with me for a while?
That I want the fire still burning bright, darling, on our wedding night. Let's wait till we walk down the aisle.
I don't wanna have to marry you.
I don't wanna have to say I do. I want our love to be free,
The way God meant love to be. Don't say you have to go now that I want you so. I don't want to be alone.
The temptation is strong, but it's oh so wrong. Please stop and take me home. I don't wanna have to marry you. I don't wanna have to say I do. I want our love to be free,
The way God meant love to be.
I want our love to be free,
The way God meant love to be. Can you imagine? I'm in Studio B, and you know everybody knows where Studio B is. I'm waiting for her to come in, and we hadn't met yet. So we're walking. She's gonna walk in, and we're gonna do "I Don't Want to Have to Marry You." Well, when she walked in, I saw how tall she was, so I went over there, some Coke boxes over in the corner, and we had already set the microphone, you know, and they always have these microphones hanging down, you know, from up here, and that microphone was all set and everything for us, and I saw she wasn't going to be tall enough to reach it because we were going to do it on one microphone. I got 2 Coke boxes and put her up on them, and that's the way we
not do it. so. I don't want to have to.
It was only one Coke box.
No, one Coke.
One Coke
I can lie
box.
a little bit, can I?
And he was watching Nashville on the Road videos recently. And I don't know, it may have been Jan, somebody was around us, and he was transferring them to DVD, and he said, "Howdy, Helen." He said, "I looked at their first series." He said, "Do you remember how you dressed?" And whoever it was sitting there said, "Well, have you taken a look at your long Elvis sideburns in it?" And said that shirt that had a peacock embroidered on it looked like it was ready to fly.
Y'all ever gone back and looked at things, you know, that you did back in the 1970s and the 60s and all? Anyway, thank y'all.
Anybody else ever done a duet with somebody they never met before? You and I had met, right?
Well, yeah.
Oh, that just seems
Yeah.
strange. Gene,
Yeah.
I didn't know Furlan.
you didn't know Furlan
Not
Husky when
really,
y'all did the
no.
Dear John letter?
Not really.
Really?
Yeah. And my mother and daddy signed him as my guardian.
Oh, my goodness.
You believe that?
Well, you were just about 17 or so.
Yeah.
weren't you?
That's child abuse.
I just asked to sing with you when I said.
We never met
No.
till the
You,
day.
you and Lane Brody
No,
had never met?
when
Tom?
I asked him to join me on that Yellow Rose, and I have to keep making that point. I didn't know him, but I knew him. You know, but I didn't know him. You know, I just thought he was wonderful. Wanted to sing with him.
Oh, no, please. No.
Bill Furlan Husky, if anybody has never traveled with Furlan Husky, they've missed it.
Yeah, you got that right.
Let me tell you, my mother and daddy turned me loose with him, and we got into Barstow, California, someplace, and stopped to eat. And I just barely knew Furlan. And he put a quarter or nickel in a jukebox and started playing something and got out in the middle of the floor and started dancing.
By himself?
Yeah. And I thought, I was embarrassed. I was in the booth and I just slid down where nobody could see me. I just never experienced anything like that. But I love him.
First time I
He's my
met
best buddy.
Furlan, we were flying down to Florida.
Yep.
Him and I on the same plane to play with Hank Lachlan and Carl Smith.
Yep.
Now, I never...
Those were the good old days.
Yeah, that's right. Now, I didn't have no idea who Simon Crumb was, so he was over in the seat.
Boy, were you in for a treat.
Oh, I mean, look, you think about that. I'm sitting over here, and he's get to arguing. Well, I told you, Simon. I told you. I'm looking like this, and I don't... So I didn't say nothing. So we get down to Pensacola. I get off. We all play the Coliseum, and we get there, and so I started asking around. I said, he was fussing on. He said, well, see, he having all the ego. I said, what? All the ego. He said, Simon Crumb is he really arguing with this? I said, man, it scared me. I said, so we took a picture. Him and I, Hank Lachlan and Carl Smith took a picture.
And Simon Crumb.
Simon Crumb. Well, yeah, but we did the show. But that's my first, I think, encounter. I believe my memory was of Furlan, arguing with Simon Crumb going down to Pensacola, Florida.
Hey, Charlie, did you figure out what sign Simon is?
He's Sagittarius.
I got to sing a duet with George Jones several years ago, and I've been a big fan for a long time, of course, but after we got done singing it, he put his arm around me shortly after he and Tammy had split up and said, well, you sing pretty good and your hair's the right color, but you're just the wrong woman.
Don't say that Don Schlitz will go home and write a song about it.
Donnaville.
Taking notes.
When we first moved here from California, and I'd met Furlan, but like Charlie, I had never met Simon Crumb. And I wasn't used to working the road. I'd worked a few with Buck Owens and Wynn Stewart in California, whatever. But anyway, I had a fairly successful record out there. And anyway, they asked me to go on the group that would go into Miami to do a show for the Country Music Hall of Fame. And so everybody, was doing that at that time. We either flew or went on buses. Well, I rode from Nashville, and I'm Greenhorn. From Nashville to Miami was Simon Crumb on the bus. He was never Furlan. It's like Charlie, it scared the fire out of me. And I didn't fly at that time. I would not get on an airplane. But in Miami, I went to the airport and I got a ticket on a plane coming back to Nashville. And it was because he was Simon Crumb. I knew Furlan. But anyway, I flew home scared to death.
Well, before these family reunions
I love
over,
Furlan.
Furlan is going to be here, so
is he really?
He can defend himself.
I worked a trip with him one time. All the way up, he was Furlan Husky through the show, and when we came home, all the way back, he was Simon Crumb, and he told me he had thrown Furlan off the bus for talking bad.
That's pitiful. That's
Jimmy.
I'll tell you a little story. You may want to cut this out when it's all over with, said and done. But we were out taking off, doing on a tour, and we had gone out west and got through Texas, and we got out in West Texas and crossed over into New Mexico, and the roads out there. This was before interstates and all this other stuff. He had a big limousine that he was riding in, and Maxine and I were in a car.
That was the same one we rode in all the time.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, we were out in the middle of the desert, and Furlan had to go to the bathroom. And, and he kept trying to get the driver to stop, I guess. He said he did anyway. Finally, the driver stopped right out in the middle of nowhere, and I mean, it's pitch black. The moon wasn't out, and the stars were lit. But anyway, I don't know if Furlan was or not, but anyway, he got out, and he went out. He goes out beyond the lights, where we could see him and all. And in a minute, he hollers, "Hey!" And he called the name of one of the musicians. He said, "Would you bring me them funny books I got in the back of the car?" That's it. That's all.
That's it?
I'm not going to tell any more. Yeah, I was going to say that's enough.
Excuse me, Norma Jean, what?
I made several trips with Furlan, several tours, and one of the funniest things he ever did was we all went into this theater real tired one night and went through there and on Smiley and Kitty, and I think Jean was on that trip. Well, I went up hunting the dressing rooms, and I kept going through all these rooms. I finally came to one and it said Furlan Husky and Norma Jean. And it wasn't supposed to be that way.
On that trip to Miami with Simon, Smiley and Kitty Wilson were on that bus also. He fired them several times on the way to Miami. And when Charlie said something about leaving him, going to kick Simon Furlan off the bus.
They were arguing like, I mean, that scared me.
He did that. He did that on the way down there, about halfway down to Florida. He kicked Furlan off of the bus, and then we went on about 25 miles, and he stopped the bus. We had to go back and get Furlan. Yeah, this is Simon.
He pulled that with Grady Martin up in Idaho, 20 below zero, knee-deep snow, and him and Simon got in a fight in the car. He said, "Stop the so-and-so car." So they stopped the car, and he opened the door and threw Simon out. Yeah. And drove about 20 miles, and it was icy and cold, and he told Grady Martin, said, "You better turn around and go get the sucker." Said, "He'll freeze to death if we don't." He didn't say sucker. So we turned around and drove back 20 miles to get him.
I'd heard that happen in Saskatchewan, too.
I bet there's not anybody in this room that knows, except me and this other person, the first duet partner I ever had was not Jan Howard, but there's somebody in this room that was the first duet partner I ever traveled with, and I bet nobody knows who it is. Anybody? You do. Darryl
I know who
McCall.
that is. I know who that is, Bill.
Do what? Darryl went on the road with me.
I sure did.
When he first came to town. Now, you came here about the same time that Don Lytle came here, who became Donnie Young, who became Johnny Paycheck. Wow. And in those days, you were telling everybody, you and I'll call him Paycheck, y'all were telling everybody that you were brothers, Donnie and Darryl Young, I guess.
Yes.
I wouldn't
what had
admit
happened? What had happened? We were running together there in Ohio, in the southern part of Ohio, doing some little shows and picking together. And he had been to Nashville before, and he was seeing my sister on the side. And so we kind of got to running together, and he said, and I was painting these old barns and outbuildings, with a 4-inch brush, putting the ladder up in the back of a truck and getting up under the comb of these barns and painting the high parts. And so I was working for this old man, and the minute I got my paycheck that weekend, Donnie said, "Hey, let's go to Nashville." And I said, "Okay, I got some money in my pocket, let's go." So we went to Nashville, and he said, "We'll call ourselves the Young Brothers, because I've been here before, and I know some people to talk to, and I think we can just tear Nashville up as a duet." And I said, "Okay, let's do it." So we got on that bus, got to Nashville, and went in. First person we saw was Buddy Killen. And we got to talking to Buddy, and of course I ran on to you and Roger Miller. And I don't think any of us had $5 between us at the time. Wow. And you had just you'd had City Lights out with Ray Price. And you took me in the studio, and we cut 99 years together. Remember that, Bill?
And then we got in my old 58 Ford and went to Mobile, Alabama.
Yes.
And
that's where we met Flo, wasn't it?
Let's don't go there. That's for another day and another time. But you've gone on and had a great career down in Texas. You play those Texas honky tonks and just wear them out, don't you?
He's not going to talk about Flo, is he?
No, we're talking about Flo.
It's been a standard joke with me and Bill forever. This is the funniest. I don't think I ought to tell that one anyway.
I don't think so either. Thank you.
But anyway, I had some wonderful teachers that kind of raised me in the music business. The great Farron Young, Ray Price, Carl Smith, Hank Williams Jr., people like this. Plus, you were talking about singing harmony with people. When Paycheck and I came to town, there were no harmony singers here. So what kept us from starving to death was people started using us to sing harmony with them on their records, like George Jones and Farron and Skeet McDonald, people like this that use us, and Freddie Hart. One of the first things I ever did that was a hit was with Freddie with Keys in the Mailbox. So that kind of opened a door for me as a harmony singer, and Farron picked me up to front his band. And so I went on the road with Farron for a while, and then Ray Price hired me and took me out. And they taught me a certain kind of country music that I do today. Me and my band, we live out in Texas, and we work all the old Texas dance halls. People still love to dance, and I still love the fiddle and the steel, and that's what we're all about. I try to keep that kind of music alive as long as we can.
Speaking of Hank Jr., you wrote one of Hank Jr.'s big early hit songs. Why don't you sing it for us?
I'd love to, Bill. This thing, I'd give you a little rundown on how the song was written.
Let me hold the mic for you.
Janie's going to be your mic stand.
Can I talk going over?
Yeah. I think so. Well, first get hooked up there.
I'll just tell it to you real quick. Like, you know, I was raised on an old farm in the southern part of Ohio. And my mama practically raised us 5 kids by herself. So when I got to Nashville, going back home was just almost impossible. You know, I couldn't go back home. Mom couldn't afford to keep anybody else, you know. So anyway, there was a period of about 3 years that I was on the road with Farron, I think it was. And I got to missing my mama real bad. I was a mama's boy. So I sent her 11 roses in the mail and a little card saying, "You're the missing rose." And that inspired a song idea that I later, when I was working with Hank Jr. in the late 60s, I went in a motel room one night, and Lamar Morris and I were sitting there, and I said, "What do you think of this?" And I started singing this song, and he said, "Good God," he said, let's finish this song. And I said, "Okay, help me finish it." So we finished up a verse in it and a chorus, and next day, Lamar said, "You got to sing this to Hank." So I sung it to Hank, and I said, "I'm not finished with it. I need another verse to it." He said, "Okay. Sing it again." So I sung it again. I got through, and he'd sing it again. I'd sing it again. So we got in off the road, and about 3 days later, Hank called me, and it was about, I guess, 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And he said, "Darryl, do you want to hear your song?" And I said, "What song?" He said, 11 Roses. I said, "What do you mean do I want to hear it?" He said, "I cut it." I said, "I'm not finished writing it yet. I need another verse." He said, "Believe me, you don't need another verse to it." He said, "MGM just thinks it's a hit. We just got through recording it." And he said, "I think it's going to be a smash." And of course, from then on, I was able to put my own group together and start doing my own thing. So thanks to Hank Jr. that song was written. But it was about, I wrote the song for my mama and for all the mamas that there is out there that listen. Well, I'll walk over there and sing it for you, okay?
Hold the mic for you? Yep. Okay.
All right. Get him, Jay.
I guess you've noticed there's only 11 roses. I chose them from our garden where they grew. Take the roses and look into your mirror, and the 12th rose will be looking back at you. There's just something about a spray of roses to a woman. They'll say more than man can say. After what I've done, you may not keep my roses, but I just thought I would send them They'll say more than man can say. After what I've done, you may not keep my roses. I just thought I would send them anyway. After what I've done, you may not keep my roses, but I just thought I would send them anyway.
I love you guys. Thank you so much.
There's a guy sitting right across over here in front of Darrell that back in the early 60s, I guess, had one of the biggest hit records in the history of country music called Talk Back Trembling Lips.
Wow. Thank you, Lord.
Buddy Ernie Ashworth. Ernie, good to have you here today, man.
Good to be with you. And, you know, Bill and I used to do a lot of shows together. We were doing some shows in Canada, and he introduced me, and I come out of the curtain, and instead of going on stage, I went down the wrong way and went out there where the audience was at. So I had to turn around and go back, and it just so happened a few weeks ago I was in South Carolina. I was at the curtain, you know, waiting to go on, and it was a split curtain. One side went on the stage, one side went out in the audience. I did the same thing. They introduced me, so I took off out the wrong way, went down, got down to the audience, and I sit there and sang my song, Talk Back Trembling Lips. And I got a standing ovation, first one I ever got in my life. So,
I've heard about a half a dozen people in here ask you why you didn't wear your Trembling Lips suit today.
I started once too, but I don't know, just don't know where I can get in it anymore. I'm afraid
Really
to
been
try.
a trademark for you over the years, hasn't it?
Yeah, they have.
Yeah. Reckon we could get you to do a little Talk Back Trembling Lips?
I imagine you could.
Come on. Got to unplug there, Ernie.
Reel him in.
You got a big one there, Darrell.
Thought you were going the wrong way again.
I tell you what Ernie said. Ernie had a record out while he's going over here. I'll just tell you what, he had a record out at the time called Pushed in the Corner. That was his current record when that happened up in Canada. And he walked out in the audience and he couldn't find his way back, and the spotlight was following him all through the crowd. And finally Ernie looked up, he said, "Talk about being pushed in a corner." He was pushed in there. Lay a little Trembling Lips on us, Ernie.
Talk back, trembling lips, shaky legs, don't just stand there. Don't let her know she's getting through to you. Talk back, trembling lips, burning eyes, don't start crying. Heart, don't let her know that you're breaking in two. Every day our love's a battle royal. Dear, it seems that fighting is all we do. But if I let you know how much I love you, you'll do things to me you shouldn't do. So talk back, trembling lips, shaky legs, don't just stand there. Don't let her know she's getting through to you. Talk back, trembling lips, turning eyes, don't start
John Loudermilk was offered $100,000 for the writing rights to that song back when it came out, and he turned it down.
There you go.
And he was very wise in doing so.
Who wrote that one?
But that was a lot of money back then.
Did you write that?
Pardon?
Did you write that song?
No. John D.
What
Loudermilk
a great
wrote that.
song that is. That sounds like a Bill Anderson song.
I remember well when he wrote it.
You know, Ernest is still so hot overseas. It is amazing. Ernest, tell him about I was just telling him how hot you still are overseas, but where they like the true country music. And the last time I introduced you at the opera, you had just won an award, and I can't think what it was now.
I won an award for being the most played country music artist in Europe.
Wow. Yeah.
And then I was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame in Montgomery, Alabama. We'll do that August 8th, February the 8th. I'll be inducted into the Alabama Country Music Hall of Fame. So things are starting to look up a little bit, you know.
Yeah. Most played country artists in Europe isn't bad. It's great.
And then I wrote a song one time called, what was that thing? I did it, Bill. I was on your show. She don't drink, she don't smoke, but she lies.
I like it.
The thing was a top hit, you know, again in Europe.
Yeah.
And I sang on the show with Bill, and he was the MC of the show. And when I got through saying it, he said, Ernie Ashworth is the only man I know in the world can write a song about a bad mouth and a girl get a damn hit.
Did I say damn?
Yeah. that night you did.
My mama washed my mouth out. She knew that. Well,
But I've had a great career, you know. The good Lord has been good to me. And having all these friends is something else too, you know, and really helps me.
Well, you've kept the country in country, and there's a lot of people that are proud of you for that. A lot of them right here in this room.
Can I interject one thing?
Please.
That was so obvious with Ernie. What country music is all about, how deep it goes. You just don't listen to it. It seeps into your soul. Now, we were talking while we were having a bite to eat, and he said, well, I don't know if I can sing. I don't sing that much anymore and stuff. And when he just got up there and started singing, wow. You bring it up from the inside. You love it, and
you know,
everyone knows you love it.
I haven't done any performing at all for a year. My wife, I lost her in November, so I stayed at home all during the year to stay home with her. She had lung cancer, and so I felt it was my duty to stay with her, and so I did for a whole year. And so this is actually the first time I performed in a year.
We're so glad to have you.
Yeah. On New Year's Day, there was a New Year's Day party, and Ernie was there, and I was there, and Jet Williams and a bunch of folks, and everybody was singing, and they wanted Ernie to sing "Talk Back Trembling Lips," and he said, "Oh, I haven't sung for a year," and you know all that. And he said, "I don't think I can." And I said, "Well," I said, "would you like for all of us to sing with you?" And he sat there quiet for a little bit, and then he said, "No." I said, "Well, we've been turned down before." And then he changed his mind.
So, boy sitting behind me with the red, what do you call that hat?
This is my new red Kangol. See, sometimes I wear it like, I got it for Christmas, see? And I put it on like that, and our son, Acme, came over and he put it right there. And I said, "What's this?" He said, "Pop, you got a new red Kangol pointed at a fresh 2 o'clock. I'm thinking, yeah, 2, 3. So I got it at about a 6:30. Fresh 6:30.
Talk about people. It's a different kind of country music from what we just heard. But this old boy right here sings from way down where you're talking about with a whole lot of soul and writes songs from down in there and was not ashamed to put his own life story into a great song.
Oh, yeah,
This is autobiographical, right?
Pretty much so. Yeah.
What a great song.
Pretty much so. You want me to sing it?
Absolutely. Who wants to sing?
Let me do it. Let me see if I can get up here. Help me out.
Whoa! Unplug yourself.
That's a big old deep couch. It's hard to get up from that.
Tell me about it.
Oh, I unplugged Mickey Gillies. Kick it off.
Let me see.
You've heard a multitude of prayers on my behalf, and I pray one more is not too much to ask. I've tried to fight this battle by myself, but it's a war that I can't win without your help. Tonight I'm as low as any man can go. Yeah, I'm down, and I can't fall much farther. And once upon a time, you turned the water into wine. And now on my knees, I'm turning to you, Father. Could you help me turn the wine back into water? So many times I've hurt the ones I love. I pushed them to the edge of giving up. They stood by me, but how much can they stand if I don't put this bottle in your hands? Tonight I'm as low as any man can go. Yeah, I'm down, and I can't fall much farther. And once upon a time, you turned the water into wine. And now on my knees, I'm turning to you, Father. Could you help me turn the wine back into water? I shook my fist at heaven for all the hell that I've been through, and I'm begging for forgiveness and a miracle from you. 'Cause tonight I'm as low, oh, as any man can go. I'm down, and I can't fall much farther. And once upon a time, you turned the water into wine. Now on my knees, I'm turning to you, Father. Could you help me turn the wine back into water? Would you help me turn this wine back into water? Yeah, yeah. God bless y'all. The band.
Oh, yeah. For the Friends of Bill W.
There's not a lot of dry eyes in here.
Mine either.
That don't get a hold of you, you ain't got a handle on you.
It's beautiful. It's great. And very much from the heart.
Yes, sir.
You've influenced a lot of people with that song. I remember a little magazine called Guideposts, which is a kind of a religious-oriented publication, and you and your wife When that song was a hit, your picture was on the cover.
And Acme and Snoopy too, our dog. Yeah.
That's reaching a lot of people.
My mama reads guideposts every week. If you go in the bathroom, well, I won't say, but there's a stack of guideposts somewhere in the house.
It's amazing the power of music sometimes.
You know, I forget about the power of a song a lot of times, and people bring it home to me. They come up and tell me stuff, you know, that's... I was talking to Ronnie McDowell about it at lunch. It's sometimes you forget the power of a song.
I think everybody in this room feels the power of a great song like that. Lynn Anderson is grinning over there. You know the power of a great song. You've had a few.
Well, I absolutely love that song, and I was talking to a couple people. That's dedicated to the Friends of Bill W., I think, today. And boy, I identify with that. It's a great song, and I've never heard anybody do a greater performance than this man gives out.
Thank you, Lynn.
Amazing.
I'm trying.
And his wife makes the best homemade pimento cheese sandwiches you've ever eaten, and chocolate chip cookies. And
you are so right.
You better bring some tomorrow.
It helps when you write songs. It makes you write better, doesn't it?
Time we get together and write, his wife feeds us. We forget what we were there for. You had a great song, Miss Anderson. By the way, I love your last name.
Thank you. Well, you know what? Have we figured out yet what our story is? I mean, I've been accused of being your daughter, your wife, your mom, your niece. John Anderson's our child.
Which do you want to be?
None
I
of
don't
the
know.
above.
I think kissing cousins is about as close. I did have a little fella one time at a concert, looked for all the world like Colonel Sanders, came by and said, "Oh, Lonnie, you're my favorite."
Lonnie?
I thought that was pretty good myself.
Well, let's see. Now, just in country music, there's Bill, there's Lynn, there's John. There's Keith now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're very prolific,
we could do a quartet.
Huh?
We could just do an Anderson family quartet.
Honey, I've always thought it should be you and me and John, and let's just go hit them.
We'll have to talk to John about that.
Yeah.
Could you lay a little Rose Garden on us? I think we need a little up-tempo song right about now.
Absolutely.
Y'all make a beautiful
You don't have to.
I did want to stand up here. It's awfully tempting to sit down and be comfortable with this group, but I did want to call attention to the fact that none of us would be here today if it wasn't for the musicianship of this town.
Yes.
Kind of like a reunion up on this side of the stage, too. All right, let's do this, puppy. I have gotten mistaken for other chicks sometimes, you know. People come up to me and say, "You're her, ain't you?" And I go, "Yes, ma'am." And they go, "Oh, Loretta, could I get your autograph?" I beg your pardon. I never promised you a rose garden along with the sunshine. There's gotta be a little rain sometime. When you take, you gotta give, so live, let live, or let go. I beg your pardon. I never promised you a rose garden. I can promise you things like big diamond rings, but you don't find roses growing on stalks of clover. So you better think it over. When it's sweet talking, you could make it come true. I'd give you the world right now on a silver platter. But what would it matter? So smile for a while and let's be jolly. Life shouldn't be so melancholy. Come along and share the good times while we can. I never promised you a rose garden along with the sunshine. There's got to be a little rain sometime. Jimmy Caps, didn't you play this thing? A couple of guys on that old section. I beg your pardon. I never promised you a rose garden. I could sing you a tune and promise you the moon, but if that's what it takes to hold you, just as soon let you go. But there's one thing I want you to know. You better look before you leave. Still waters run deep, and there won't always be some promised you a rose garden along where the sunshine. There's got to be a little rain sometime. I beg your pardon. I never promised you a rose garden along where the sunshine. Uh-oh, there's gotta be a little rain sometime. I wondered how we were gonna get out of that thing.
Hard room to work.
That's great. That's great. Doug Stone made an interesting comment to me a while ago. I want you to share that, what you said about your mama.
You're going to make me cry.
Well, I'm not meaning to make you cry, but what you said, and I think it fits with Lynn, it fits with so many people that are in this room.
Well, you know, my mother is the one that taught me how to do this. And she's a big fan. I mean, I've listened to all you guys growing up. And let me tell you something, it's an honor for me to be sitting here. And the only thing that I miss is I wish Mama was here. She passed away in '97. But God Almighty, I'm sorry, but I just wish she could have been here to see this.
She is.
I bet she is, yeah. But Doug, she's seeing it.
Doug.
Yeah?
My mom is here. My mom is here. I just got to tell you that because this means so much to me, too, because I got to tell you something, Lynn, my friend. When I was in Chicago doing jingles, Janie and I started doing jingles, you know, early days. And my manager came to me and he said, we're going to cut a record. And he came here to Nashville and he cut the tracks with many of these great musicians and brought them back up. And he gave me your record to listen to influence me before I got my first record called You're Gonna Make Love to Me, which became, it was a little hit on GRT Records with Johnny. You were on GRT, remember Johnny?
Oh, yeah.
Those early days. And for me and Doug, because I just know exactly what you feel. And I just have to say that my mom is here. My mom is 83. Mom, will you say hi? I just gotta say because she's here.
That's great.
And she knows how much it means to me.
She's still black-headed.
I got to tell you, since Doug was saying that, I come from a family of 10, and my mother, she worked, since Doug was saying that, she worked 3 jobs, and, in 1955, my mom and dad divorced, and she worked 3 jobs. I never will forget, she worked at the shirt factory and the canning factory and a restaurant. And when I had that record that afternoon, it was Friday afternoon, I got it played on Weno, and I went to the big pop station, and there were 2 guys standing in the hallway, and y'all probably don't know this, but I got to tell you this. I give them the same spiel, and I said, would y'all play this? And they said, we don't do this. But the little girl took it to these 2 guys standing in the hallway. They went in, and they put the turntable on and listened to it, and he did the same thing. He went like that, and he come back, and he said, we're going to play this. I said, you got to be kidding me. And he played it, and he come back out, and he said, you got to smash. And you know who that guy was? He's sitting right over there, John Conlee.
He can pick them, can he?
We'll get into it later, but what would you do in being a pop disc jockey?
I worked in radio for 9 years, and I never worked at a country station any of those 9 years. It was all other formats, from news talk to rock and roll. And what Ronnie's talking about is when I worked at WLAC here in Nashville, when it was rock and roll back in those days. And I guess we were the first pop station to play The King Is Gone, as far as I know.
You were, and then I left your station. I went up to the truck stop where my mother was working, and I said, Mother, take your apron off. You don't have to work no more. She said, son, get out of here. I'm working. Leave me alone. And there was a truck driver sitting there, and he said, Georgia May, ain't you heard what's going on with this boy? She said, no, what? I said, Mother, come with me. We went out in the car, and I turned the radio on, and every station was playing The King Is Gone. And she never worked again till she died.
All right.
Take care of Mama.
Lay it on us, Doug.
Wait a minute, I got to tell you a story before they start, because my career's been up and down, and I just, we did a movie. Let's see, Mickey Gilley was in it. Buck Trent. There was a whole bunch of you guys in it. And you know, what's the chances of having two pig movies made in 1 year? And you know, the other one was Babe. Ours was a pig movie made called Gordy. And Babe got the Oscar. And Gordy got the Oscar Mayer. And then I have a song like this, you know. It was a really good song. And you know, I go to the Grammys, first time I've ever been, on the first song I ever did. And guess who beat me out? Mr. Vince Gill. And I've always wanted to tell you, congratulations. Well, I said the night you left me, nothing worse could ever happen. And seeing you with someone else proved that I was wrong. And when your eyes met mine, I knew that you were gone forever, along with all the reasons I had for hanging on. I'd be better off in a pine box on a slow train back to Georgia, or in the gray walls of a prison doing time. I think I'd rather die and go to hell and face the devil than to lie here with you and him together on my mind. Well, I always thought that someday we might get back together. Well, I just thought you needed time to spread your wings and fly. But when I saw the loving way you held on to each other, it was all that I could do not to break right down and cry. I'd be better off in a pine box on a slow train back to Georgia, or in the gray walls of a prison doing time. And I think I'd rather die and go to hell or face the devil than to lie here with you and him together on my mind. Well, girl, I'd be better off in a pine box on a slow train back to Georgia, or in the gray walls of a prison during time. I think I'd rather die and go to hell and face the devil than to lie here with you and him together on my mind. I can't lie here with you and him together on my mind. Thank you.
Great job. Yeah, that's country. Absolutely. Mama heard that. We're coming close to the end of this particular segment, and I don't want to rush John Conlee, but we've already found out he used to be a rock and roll disc jockey.
Right.
So, but you
So do
sure
it
have
fast.
you sure have made some great country records, man.
Thank you.
Nobody has a style quite like you, and you hear John Conlee open his mouth, and you know who it is, and I mean that as a compliment. I think we all do.
I appreciate just talking about it. I just
Yeah.
told him a while ago.
Could we get a little bit of that kind of crazy song of yours?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, you going to go up
But
there with the
I
group?
think there's another thing that's interesting about Mr. Conlee. He still keeps another license just in case the disc jockey work and the country singer doesn't
Don't use
work.
it today.
Everybody feeling all right here?
Don't use it today.
Licensed mortician.
Everybody feeling all right? I hope
Do
so.
you know anything about a pine box?
Yeah, just getting ready to say, rather be in the pine box where the guy can pack you away.
That Curly should have pitched He Stopped Loving Her Today to me, but I don't know, you know. He couldn't have done any better than with Mr. Jones, of course. This song, Harlan Howard and Bobby Braddock wrote. And, you know, I got a hold of several of Harlan's and Bobby's songs in my career. This one kind of got us in trouble when it first came out. We heard from some women's organizations groups thinking this was a put down to women. And I don't know if it would work today or not in the even more PC world we seem to work in. But I think it would. It's a great song, and it takes special talent to be able to write about this subject and pull it off. And Harlan and Bobby did it. This is I Don't Remember Loving You.
Yeah. It'd be okay.
I don't remember loving you. And I don't recall the things you say you put me through. You tell me that you've had a guilty conscience for so long. You say that you walked out on me. You say you did me wrong. Well, I just don't see how that could be true. 'Cause I don't remember loving you. I don't remember loving you. You might talk to my doctor. He drops by each day at 2. I get a funny feeling when I look into your eyes. There's something in your smile that gives my stomach butterflies. You must look like someone I once knew. But I don't remember loving you. I don't remember loving you. I heard you mention children. Did you say there's one or two? You say I quit my job and then I drank myself insane. You say that I ran down the highway screaming out your name. Now that's not the sort of thing that I would do. No, I don't remember loving you. I don't remember loving you. I absolutely, positively know that can't be true. But everyone I know here in this place is very strange. If you'll hand me my crayons, I'll be glad to take your name. In case I run across the guy you knew. But I don't remember loving you. I don't remember loving you. And I don't recall the things you say you put me through. You tell me that you've had a guilty conscience for so long. You say that you walked out on me. You say you did me wrong. Well, I just don't see how that could be true. 'Cause I don't remember loving you. I don't remember loving you. And I don't recall the things you say you put me through. You tell me that you've had a guilty conscience for so long. You say that you walked out on me. You say you did me wrong. Well, I
just don't see how that could be true. 'Cause I don't remember loving you. It's great to be here in the asylum, everybody.
Great job, John.
Hey, if you like that one, you're gonna love this one. Or this one.